The Connection Show, inspiring hope, health, and healing, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Michelle Mehta, and we are so excited to have you on board. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Jill, for a wonderful opportunity to connect and also spread more hope, light, and faith in our community. I really appreciate being here, and I'm so grateful for the connection.
Well, we love connecting people to each other and sharing stories. So would you be willing to just share who you are and tell us a story of your journey and how it's led you to the amazing woman you are today?
Thank you so much. So first of all, I am Michelle Mehta. I am the first girl to be born outside of India in my family. My parents came to India in the 1980s, and they decided to raise a family, and they got immense amount of backlash from their families saying, you're going to raise a child, that to a daughter outside of India, a place where there's no culture, there isn't what we are. You know, we are born and raised in India, and that's where culture is, and you're going to raise somebody outside. And my parents said, yes, we are. And not only did they raise me, they raised my beautiful sister as well, along with many of my cousins, and, you know, a huge family after all. So at the end of the day, who am I? I am a speaker and an international bestselling author. And let me tell you, this path was not a path I had dreamed about. Not least not when I was 16 years old. I thought, let's go into motivational speaking, because that's what we're trained. You see big people get paid big bucks to share a message and they walk off the stage. And my parents said, motivational speaking, no, you're not doing that. You're going to go into this thing called sales. And in sales, you sell other people's products for other people's company, and you get paid either by commission or an hourly rate. And I thought, I really don't feel comfortable here, especially for one of the organizations I work with, where we were forced to open up bank accounts for companies. We were forced to have a quota, whether customers walked into the door or not.
And to pause for just a moment, because I have 40 plus years in outside sales, you're trained by, especially like I worked for big corporations, some big corporations, you're trained how to turn somebody's no to a yes. So you're trained how to take somebody's boundaries away from them.
Exactly. And it was a soul-sucking experience. And I told my parents, I'm out of here. You can't even do another day here. And I went through 8 managers in 8 months. And I thought, I have to do something different. And so I went and decided a brand new field of helping people for the right reasons. So I thought was recruiting. But lo and behold, with my beautiful career, because there's always a plan outside of the existing plan, a God-created plan, I got laid off in training for being too nice. Because my previous experience, right, opening those fake accounts for people, gave me the highest customer service rating as an employee. I took that customer service award to my next employer, because I was coming off of that, going into the next one, and they laid me out for being too nice.
Again, you were just so nice. It's like, if you want to buy this, we'd love to sell it to you. And they're like, no. You convince them why they want to buy it. But pause for just a moment there, if you wouldn't mind, Michelle.
Of course.
Pause for just a moment there, because we're rushing the story. I'm dying to know before you even got there. So coming to being raised in America with culture from India, where did you grow up? Let's go back, because we missed a lot of you. Let's go back where you grew up, and what hardships did you go through as a child, if any? And did you struggle at all? Did you go through anything like body image issues, any kind of codependency? Did you go through any struggles in your life?
Absolutely. I mean, there's people look at me, they're like, there's two sides of you. There's the two sides of a coin. I have my failed corporate America career that got me into coaching. And then I have the me that's still single at 33 years old, which is unheard of in many Indian ethnic communities because they want you married by the age of 25, have kids by 30, and, planning for grandkids by the age of 40. We move fast in the Indian community, but on my end, I'm a little bit slower on that end. And the reason why is because I grew up in Northridge, California, which is in San Fernando Valley in California. I spent 10 years of my life there. And I had been trained to embrace change at a very young age because I went through 3 elementary schools when I was in elementary, right? From like 0 to 10, I went through 3 elementary schools. So change was frequent. I went to 1 middle school, 2 different high schools. And in the process of change, I got bullied for giving hugs to people. I got bullied for giving compliments to people. Now, in the pandemic world, we don't want hugs, but we love the compliments, right? But I was at that age of 11 and 12, I was already operating at a different frequency than my peers were. And I had a group of like 7 friends that were all girls. And I met them a few years later, come to find out that my parents were the only ones that were married. Everybody else's parents had filed for divorce. And that gave me the whole different perspective of why they were getting mad at me for giving them hugs, because that was not part of their culture. And I, being the only girl running around for the first 3 years of my life, I had 6 uncles and aunts that were not married at that time when I was born. So I grew up in a house filled with love, joy, and connection. And it was part of my embodiment, and it was part of who I was. And so it was so important for me to share that positivity and have that positivity as a strength of mine. And through the process, I realized, there's more to life. And at my Sweet 16 birthday party, I had 150 people there, with kids, uncles, and aunts all show up. And my parents said, you're going to hold a microphone and you're going to share a message. And you're going to go through this PowerPoint presentation that we've created. And we're giving you, it was basically, they told me the night before that this is what I'm going to do the next day. And I was like, I don't know anything about public speaking, let alone sharing a message, holding a microphone. I wasn't drama at that point, but it was like only 2 months into drama, right? So I held the microphone and people automatically told me I was a natural. So I conquered the world's biggest fear of public speaking at the age of 15. That's where the transition came into motivational speaking, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go ahead and share a message and spread positivity, because we don't see that enough.
So when you grabbed that microphone at 15, first I want to know, what message did you like to communicate at 15? And did you like doing other things like singing and dancing to entertain, or just to talk?
I could not sing or dance. I had stage fright for singing and dancing. If I sang, I would forget the lyrics of the song. If I was dancing, I would forget the steps that I was doing. Like, all of a sudden I look at the audience and I'm frozen. But if you give me a microphone, it's easier. I don't know why that would never go into, I still can't figure that out at the age of 33, like how that's even possible. But it was so challenging in that way of like, I can just go out and share a message and not worry about it. But when it comes down to performing, it's like multiple reruns, multiple run-throughs, to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do it for myself and not anybody else. And even then, it's an like A for effort. It's not even an A+ performance.
So you're on stage, you have a microphone, 15. So the audience is listening today, for those 15, 16, 17-year-old girls out there. Okay. Yeah. And maybe boys if you spoke to them. So at 15, what message did you love to share?
Well, at that point, it was basically a PowerPoint of my whole childhood. And my parents had designed the slide, and then they had given me a script of the lines to say with the slide. So it was like a family of 20 people. It's like, and we are the Sopranos, right? And like something like that. So it was basically creating humor as I was going through my journey of 0 to 15. And there's a picture of me frowning, and it's like, oh, look, normal people, I can smile, but here I can frown too. And don't you like my frown better than my smile? So there were like snarky comments like that to make the audience, but it was a delivery of how I presented it, where anytime there was a birthday party or a New Year's party, they would say, hey, Michelle, will you be the MC for our event? Will you be the MC for the birthday party? And so it just became a thing of where they would just give me the role of the next time I would be speaking, or create the opportunity for me to speak more. And it was just like for fun and games, right? Until I decided there was actually a whole career about speaking. And that's when I realized, when I became a coach. And I became a coach not because it was my dream career to become a coach. My dream was to help people for the right reasons, because I was so darn sick and tired of doing it for the wrong reasons. I wanted it to do it for the right reasons. I wanted to really help people, because we don't realize how many are not getting the support that they need.
Mm-hmm. So did you leave home and go off to college?
I did go. I never left home. I stayed at home. I went to Cal State Fullerton. So then I went from, in middle school, I moved to Irvine. And I've lived in Irvine my whole life since then. I haven't left. I try to leave, but I keep coming back to Irvine. It's funny. I like move out of my parents' house and I still end up in Irvine. So sometimes there's just those places where they're just your home. And I went to Cal State Fullerton, spent 5 years getting an undergrad education from finance and marketing, thinking, yeah, I'm going to go sell financial services because I love marketing. I joined Fullerton to get a degree in finance. Halfway through finance, I thought, what am I doing here? I don't understand anything that they're teaching me. And halfway through finance, I entered marketing and I fell in love with it because it was logical. It made sense. It was like advertisements. It was like radios do it, TVs do it. So it was in front of me all the time. And as a visual person, it makes more sense. So I told my parents halfway through finance, I really don't like finance anymore, but since I'm already halfway through it, I might as well just finish it. But I'm going to add on marketing. And my parents said, well, you already are so good with people. Just sell financial services. Don't need to learn the number crunching, but just go out and sell financial services. And so I did. I interned at Morgan Stanley. I interned at MassMutual. I interned at Guardian Life Insurance. I worked at Wells Fargo. Went into recruiting of financial accounting professionals. Did the whole IT recruiting as well. And then I got laid off from there again in 94 days because the branch just collapsed from making wrong deals. And I said, okay, well, now what am I going to do?
Now, did you enjoy it or were you bored to tears?
I enjoyed it, but it was so short-lived that I was just like, part of me was, this is not what I was going to do, but we are so trained as a society to go to college and then work in corporate that there isn't anything else beyond that. Or you join a family business. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to join a family business, definitely not in my 20s. It was more of like a 40 or when I'm in my 40s or 50s kind of thing. I'll join the family business. Let me figure out who I am in the process. Well, that dream came a little bit sooner than expected. At the age of 25, I joined my family business. And boy, I didn't realize how beautiful and challenging it is at the same time.
What was what was the family business?
We were repairing wind turbines.
Okay.
Out in Palm Springs area and others. So I was the operations and the social media expert behind it, creating a brand for them. But boy, when you have people with the same personality from the same household working together, you clash heads a lot. And that was my father and I. So my poor mom was stuck in the middle between my dad and I. But then he decided to sell the business to a Fortune 500 company. And I then moved on with them. And I was like, okay, this is a good idea. I'm back in corporate, even though I didn't want to go back into corporate. But I thought this might be a different type of corporate because it was operations management rather than sales. And I got a dream opportunity of working as a coach because I'm now getting certified. So as I was working the family business, I decided to go pick up coaching certification and learn about life coaching because somebody told me I should do that based on my personality. And so I discovered coaching as a result of it. And in this process, I got certified as I was transitioning from my family business to corporate America job again. And one of the vice presidents at that time said, hey, will you do me a favor? And now that you're a coach, can you coach me into certain things? And I was like, yeah, I'll just, we'll just be an internal coaching agreement, which basically means an employee is already coaching an existing employee. And so you just kind of use that as part of your salary and, you don't have to bill another agreement or anything. So I was doing that. And literally, Jill, 6 hours later, upper management comes into my office and says, you have 1 hour to give away your laptop and your iPad. Remove everything that is personal on your devices because you do not have a job anymore.
Did they say why?
And they said, we are restructuring our organization and we don't need you.
Wow. You were blown away. Isn't it the most humiliating way they do it?
It is so humiliating. I mean, and it was so crazy because at 11 a.m. on October 30th, 2018, I got the call, hey, can you create a coaching agreement where you can then coach me? So I get all the pieces together. I was about to send an agreement off at 4 p.m. Upper management walks into my office and says, you're out of a job. I then call that person back and I said, hi, unfortunately, the coaching agreement cannot be internal. Now you'll have to be an external agreement, which means now I will have to charge you for the time that we work together. And he goes, okay, perfect, $100 an hour. And I was like, okay, here we go. Let's do this. And I hired a business coach.
See, now as a salesperson, you counted that and said, well, my fee's $150.
I didn't even say anything because I was just so in a state of shock. I was like, okay, let's just go for it. And on November 1st, 2018, I hired my first business coach. And then I went shopping for coaches. And in 2019, I invested $50,000, worked with 19 different coaches in different departments of my life to enhance it because I wanted a solid structure. I wanted a solid niche to work with. And it was also the time where I transitioned from women coaching that I was doing to now teenage coaching because I had the opportunity to go back to my old middle school where I graduated from and career day. And I was in front of 100 kids that day, 11 to 14 years old. And I walked into the room and I said, hi, everyone. My name is Michelle. And I have a question for you. How many of you have evil voices inside of your heads? And what are these voices telling you? Jill, 100 kids out of 100 kids raised their hands.
Yep.
And I said, what are these voices telling you? I'm not good enough. Mm-hmm. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. I'm overweight. Nobody loves me. Mm-hmm. They're walking around with these voices telling them this thing. They're setting themselves up for failure more than they are setting themselves up for success. Because if you walk around with, I'm not feeling good enough, you're going to make not good enough decisions.
So let me pause you for a minute, okay? Because I'm dying to know this. So before you had this aha moment at that high school, okay?
It was a middle school.
In middle school, I'm sorry. Had you ever experienced those voices in your head before this ever occurred? Had you heard
Absolutely.
Those voices?
Absolutely, because I was molested at the age of 16.
Okay,
by a family member.
we skipped over that important part of your story.
Well, because it needs to tie into why it hit home for me.
Yeah.
Because it brought me back to the point where somebody that I loved and that I respected and that I trusted decided to touch me inappropriately when I was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And it continued on for many years into my 20s. Wow. Because I had just turned 30 at that point when I was giving the presentation. And so it brought back many memories. Mm. And it made me realize that the reason why I got laid off 3 times at the age of 30, reason why I'm still single at 33 was because I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel worthy enough. I didn't feel smart enough. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel strong enough. And I had these voices inside of my head. And until I went in through counseling and coaching, that's when I realized that there is help beyond us. And I checked after my second layoff, I found a counselor. I marched into that office and I said, I need help. I don't know why I need help, but I just need help. It seems like counseling is like the coolest thing to do because I have a lot of friends that have gone through counseling and therapy and they were raving about their connection with their therapist. And I thought, I just need one. And I didn't tell my parents until a year and a half later that I was seeing a counselor.
Did they ever know that you had been molested up until
that point? They did. They had known about it. But again, because it's family, it's a family member, cover it up. You're okay. We're okay. And I wear a beautiful smile, right? So no one really knows what's going on inside of me because I like to keep family together. Mm-hmm. And if I'm crying in a corner the energy then gravitates to me, and I didn't want people to look at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you wear a smile, you just fake it till you make it, and then you process the emotion later on. And
and what a lot of people don't understand, Michelle, is when you had sexual abuse, people don't understand that your soul is connected to your sexuality too, because your soul, when you get married and you join together as one, the souls connect. So when there's been a sexual abuse, part of your soul's been ripped out. And so part of healing happens to be where you have to reclaim your soul back to you and say, you can't have it anymore. It belongs to me. So it's soul recovery.
It is soul recovery. And that's why I invested 19 different coaches in 2019, because I realized, when you're an entrepreneur, your value is tied to the value that you see in you. So I was walking around with almost like 30% value. So then I was offering 30% type of prices. So I needed those coaches to come and help me realize that I'm actually at 100% of a value, and that I can offer prices at a higher rate, at a higher percentage. And that's one of the reasons why I continue to invest and realize. And that's when, working through the counseling, I basically avoided this person for 8 months. And that's when the inappropriate touching stopped. But it took the counseling in my 20s to give me that strength to walk away from the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because he would corner me, take me away from the family, do his thing, would not take no for an answer. And I kept meeting people over and over and over again that would not take no for an answer. And they would still want it, because we are, as women, sometimes are trained that if they're older than you, if they're taller than you, they have the higher say.
Well, I'm going to stop you there for just a moment, because I really connect with you. And I'm going to do a shift here for you, if you don't mind. I normally don't. I'm going to shift with you with the wording. To me, inappropriate behavior would be something like, I'm driving down the expressway, someone cuts me off, and I say, F you, can't you learn how to drive? Sexual abuse is not inappropriate behavior. So I'm going to do a mind shift for you to switch your words when you're sharing your story from inappropriate behavior to I was sexually abused.
And that's one of the reasons, I don't know your gauge of the audience. So I'm like playing it a little bit lower, but I do say words like in a normal stage presence, like sexual abuse is one of them. I've also had 2 abortions. If we're going to go raw, we might as well go all raw.
That's what
I'm like, right? So, because a lot of time when I'm speaking with kids, I use different wording because I don't want them to get scared right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Right? But just depends upon the environment. But yes, in my 20s, part of why I'm still single is that I had 2 abortions. One time was from a place where it was considered rape. It was rape, actually. It wasn't even considered. It was rape that I was raped. I went on a date with somebody. He then raped me, and then I ended up getting pregnant. And I found out 10 weeks later. And that alone was a hard thing, a hard pill to digest. And then the second time was out of consent, but he didn't want anything to do with me and told me straight away, you need to take care of that. And he was a doctor himself. He was a family medicine doctor. And instead of supporting me, he got jealous that I was taking the OBGYN's expert advice over his advice. And that's where I realized I needed to walk away from the relationship. Mm. And so having this type of sexual trauma, having this type of abuse has made me pave my own path and helped me realize my own value the hard way. Mm-hmm. And to me, it didn't make much of a difference because I was already in counseling therapy. I was already in a coaching environment when all these incidents were happening to me in my 20s. So I was able to just talk it out and walk away. Didn't realize that there's emotional trauma that gets buried inside of our bodies. Mm-hmm. And things just keep coming up because the more you invest in yourself, the more things come up from the ground. And I tell it we as human beings are human beings, but we are also like a tree. Mm-hmm. You never know how deep the roots are.
Yeah.
Even after you've chopped off the tree, because those roots are spread out like wildfire underneath the ground. Mm. And sometimes those things come up to the surface. And that's the journey that I've been on right now.
Mm.
And that's why I became an advocate for teenagers, for the reason of supporting them with mental health, supporting them with substance abuse, supporting them with helping them understand that their voices matter, that they are the future of our generation, and that their performance in school does matter. There are so many kids that are walking around failing classes, and a lot of schools have changed it where now D is considered passing and C isn't. When I was growing up, C's were considered like 70% below, like 69% means you failed. Now they're saying it's 65, 64%, and you're still passing.
Yep.
So, which means that people have lost the motivation to continue to grow, to continue to learn. And it's because they themselves have fed themselves with so many thoughts, because we are living in a fear-based society.
Well, and they keep lowering the benchmarks to society.
They keep lowering the benchmark society. And so it's really important to understand and that every one of us has a unique gift. Every one of us is born with that purpose. And sometimes it's not what you are meant to do. And it's completely out of your box. I never thought I was going to be a coach. I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. But my coursework told me to get there, because when I was in my 20s, when I turned 20, I had a 5-year plan. I was going to graduate out of college, get a job right away, which I did. I was going to work in corporate America till death do me part, basically. And I was going to be in a management position, going to be engaged by the age of 30, have kids by 33, and I'll be set. In reality, I've been laid off 3 times. I don't enter corporate America. I had the opportunity of having 2 kids, right? But decided to forfeit them because I didn't want them to come and ask me, hey, Mom, do you know where Daddy is? Everybody else has a dad. How come I have a granddad, don't have a dad? Mm-hmm. And my answer to them would be like, Baby, I don't know. I don't know where he is. I don't have his contact info, right? And that conversation would have broken me.
Yeah. But there is healing after, there is healing. I too have had 2 abortions, and I have had a child without being married. Right. So I've run two ways. But I do know one thing for a fact. I do know that unequivocally abortion leads to quite a bit of anxiety, depression, suicide ideation. And the loss is so great, even when it's been rape, that it's very difficult to come back from that, where you don't want to continuously replace one lost pregnancy with another to another, because you've got a hole that needs to be filled. So it's so important, if you have ever chosen abortion, to recover from that abortion, because that hole is really, really deep.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't let it go deep, because I was already, with my first abortion, I was already in a weekly therapy session. So the moment it happened, I brought that topic to the counselor. I said, I just had an abortion. Now let's talk about it. Right. And we immediately talked about it. I waited like 3 days for it to between the abortion date and my counseling date. Same thing with my life coach. I was already working with my life coach with the second abortion came around. So I just brought the topic and I said, I just had an abortion like 2 days ago. Can we just talk about it? And I felt like I was healing from it, because it was my decision to let the baby go. And it's taken a lot of work, because I used to just call it an it. And now I call it a baby. Mm-hmm. Because emotionally I had disconnected from myself. And through my own work of personal development and learning about myself, I've now connected my emotions together, because I was so operating from a place of disconnectedness. Mm-hmm. Just doing things on a conscious level rather than a subconscious level. And it was just like everything was like on an autopilot in my mind, and going through NLP certification, going through the emotional freedom technique certification, getting my coaching certification made me realize who I am at the core level. And I can tell you, I've never been the happiest the last 4 years of my life. Awesome. Because I am doing things that are making an impact for people. If I can get one person from a frown to a smile, I've done my job. If I can get one person that didn't have hope to graduate can now walk the stage and graduate, I've done my job. And I have worked with numerous children and teenagers in middle school and high school with special needs, with feeling not good enough. and making them feel they're confident in who they are and letting them know that they are here to share a gift.
That's beautiful. Well, I'd like to pause a moment and show the audience your bio. So this is Michelle Mehta's bio, and this is her website, which is michellemehta.com, where you can reach out to her and connect with her. So you are offering coaching sessions to people. Now they can sign up on your website and consult with you and do them on Zoom as well, right? You do Zoom coaching?
Absolutely. I do Zoom and I do in-person coaching as well. I've also teamed up with a couple high schools in the area to share a message and let them know that there is hope and support available, because mental health crisis doesn't just start with the adults, it also spreads down to the kids. And there is not enough resources available to understand how deeply mental health can affect people. And I've been in places where I had suicide ideation. I've been in places where I thought, what if I just give up everything and walk away? And sometimes we are selfish when we make a decision. I've met a lot of people who actually attempted, and some didn't make it, and some actually survived.
Yeah. Well, we are so grateful that you took, I know you're swamped and so busy with your life, and we're so grateful that you really got vulnerable with us today. And I know I push a little bit. I hope I didn't push you further than you wanted, but I think it's so important because, you know, when people know that you're real, you've had pain, you've struggled, they can understand your heart for coaching, and you can be empathetic with them, and they know you're a real person, Michelle. So thank you so much for your vulnerability and your love for others.
Thank you so much, Jill. It is such a pleasure to be here. And one of my core values through my personal development journey has actually been to show up as vulnerable as possible. Because if I'm not vulnerable enough, I can't expect the person in front of me to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is a double-edged sword. Some people think of it as a sign of a weakness, but it's how you use it can make it one of the greatest strengths of you.
Well, my girlfriend Stacy has a slogan that says, "Wake up, speak up, and show up."
There you go.
I like that. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. So that's what it is, right? And that's when we can interrupt with each other. That's when you know there's a true connection, right? Otherwise, we'd be like hiding away, right? So this is so important that we go out and share our message. Go ahead and be vulnerable. Go ahead and be authentic, because no one can be you more than you can be you.
Well, before we end, and when we end the show, stay on. I want to talk to you off camera. Could you share with the audience this amazing event that's happening in California, December 17th, and that you're going to be a part of? Can you share that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's basically going to be on December 17th. I think we're going to do like an all-day event that's happening. And Emma Salamanca, who's my manager, she's the one that's connecting with all of us. So she just told me actually yesterday, hey, keep December 17th open. I'm like, okay. And so I invite you to follow me on social media, pay attention to the updates as we're going to get closer. We're basically going to create an awesome event for people to come and find hope, find faith, and find love from the speakers that are going to be there.
And it's going to be based on stopping violence and a mental wellness theme to it too.
Exactly.
And is it going to be mainly focused for children? I mean, obviously adults can come too, but is your main audience going to be where you're going to encourage junior high school kids, college kids to come to this event?
Yes, and we're also going to encourage parents as well to come, because just because the kids take it, again, we all know that adults aren't adults until they're 18 years old, right? So there are kids that are under the age of 18 that are going to be there. So we invite the parents to come and participate so that they're all on the same page, because sometimes the kids find hope and inspiration, and the parents will cap it over and close it off and say, that's not where you belong. Mm-hmm. So it's really important that everybody works as a team. And it is, trauma starts with the parents. They are the foundation of the kids. And sometimes parents don't even know they're creating trauma.
I'm going to share something in closing that I think is real powerful from what you just said. And I think this will help the audience. So I learned this years ago, Michelle, that codependency, especially in a looking good family, is usually hidden. And so a therapist taught me this one time. So when you're in a codependent relationship with, say, your parents, with trauma in a family, it looks like this. It's total enmeshment. So if a child were to come to this event by themselves, and all of a sudden lightning, a light goes on and they wake up, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, I need to recover. And so all of a sudden they start to pull away from their parents and want to become independent with wellness through coaching and therapy and health. So all of a sudden it's like this. So what happens then is the child, if they do it alone, they start going like this, and the parents down here. So there's only a couple of things that could occur. The child will keep going up here, the parent here, and it will feel more separation. Out of fear, with the separation anxiety that can occur, what will occur is either the parent will do everything they can to suck the kid back down and enmesh them, or the child will feel so separated they'll come back and get enmeshed. So the only way true interdependent healing occurs is if both people, when they start for wellness, they both go at the same level and stay connected to each other in love, peace, joy as a family, but not enmeshed.
Exactly. I love that. I mean, and that's something that I learned too. We want an independent, right? But we also, the key word is interdependent,
that's
right?
And
growing together and being together. Because when you do something on your own, it's a lot harder. But when you do something in a team, motivation's already increased. So, you could always go far alone, or you could go farther together. Yeah. The choice is always yours.
So parents, get together, look for Michelle's website and Emma, who is amazing, and get your tickets early. They're going to go live with ticket sales in a few weeks here for this unbelievable Stop Violence, Increase Mental Wellness event. It's going to be at Angel Stadium in Orange County, California, December the 17th. And amazing people will be there. Some artists will be there, music, and phenomenal speakers. And Michelle will be one of those speakers. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us.
Thank you, Jill, for this wonderful opportunity. And go ahead and spread love, joy, and connection. No one can do it better than you.
Amen. Have a blessed day, everyone. And thanks for joining The Connection Show. Bye now.
Join us for the hope, health, healing, Aruba Woman's Getaway. October 26th to November 1st, 2022. Are you overworked? Feeling stressed out or exhausted? Is it time to spoil yourself? Relax and breathe in life. At a beautiful private villa in Aruba for 6 nights and 7 days. Renew your mind and body. Discover greater self-awareness. Joining in connection. Wellness. Stillness. Enhancing your inner peace. And reboot you. Experience amazing beaches. Enjoy snorkeling. Area attractions. Shopping till you drop. Beachfront dining. Imagine releasing anxiety. Reconnecting with self. Restoring your soul. Bring your friends and savor delicious home-cooked meals. Create lasting memories. Join us now. Register today. Book your flights to Aruba for a getaway October 26th to November 1st, 2022. Register by going to braveheartworkshops.com. That's braveheartworkshops.com. We'll see you in Aruba.
Thanks for joining us today on The Connection Show, where we bring you stories that will transform your life. The Connection Show would appreciate your support. Please go to either our Patreon page or our PayPal Me Now link today. We love our podcast show guests and appreciate our listeners and YouTube subscribers. Please go to our YouTube channel called The Connection Show and Braveheart Workshops and subscribe now. Remember to click the gray bell in the All tab so you don't miss any upcoming episodes.